Hi everybody, welcome to week 2. I made a tiny mistake. I took an assignment out of the class last month and I realized about an hour ago that I had the old lecture in here. So I'm going to take the time to go through everything really quickly because I feel like I've caused a little bit of confusion. I'm going to go ahead and give everybody 100 for the lecture this week. I'll send this one out in the messages and announcements, but I'll also repost it here in the week 2 lecture. I'll also try to keep it very short because I know some of you have already watched the previous lecture. So I really will try to get through this very quickly so I'm not making you do even more because of my mistake, and I really do apologize for that. That one slipped by me, and I'm sorry. All right, so welcome to week 2. We are going to go through a few different activities and assignments this week. Hopefully all of them will help you build that supporting structure to the knowledge that you're gaining throughout all your time in your classes. These kinds of activities that we're doing, some of them are objective-based. That means that the Department of Education says this is a research class, you're this designation, and this will be in your class. And so we will go over it. And that's why you're seeing a small refresher and something to kind of remind you a little bit of where your strengths and weaknesses may lie with grammar. I don't expect you actually to watch the entire Linda series. Just go through, and I trust you to know where your strong suits are and what things you need some support in, and choose the sections of this LinkedIn Linda, I think it is now, that where you're hazy, where you're like, I don't really remember exactly how to do those things, and just watch those that pertain to where you think you need a refresher with it. It's okay to let the whole thing play through. You don't have to watch absolutely all of it. Just choose the ones that reflect where you think you might need a little bit of a boost. That's not the only thing, though, of course. I want you to have a conversation with me about it. So after you do that, I just want you to think about a few things. I want you to think about, how often does grammar come up for you as an issue? And how many times has what you thought you've known changed with the invention of all of our cell phones and our digital communications? The way we use words and the way grammar is used has been altered a bit. And so I just want you to reflect on that. Not forever. You don't have to write a full 5-paragraph essay or anything, but you'll take a minute to reflect about those questions that I've put forth. And it's about 200 to 300 words. So again, please don't stress, not a whole paper. And I'm not even, I'm not in there for actually grading your grammar on this one, although, always try to do your best. I just want your opinions, and I want to know what you think about how this has evolved over time. And so this is a fairly easy assignment. Go in, again, don't expect you to look at everything. I do expect you to, bolster what it is you think you might need help with. All right, so that's the week 2 grammar fundamentals. Okay, qualitative and quantitative methods. So really the key words for these two terms, you can figure it out almost without having to know the definitions of these. If you look at the beginning of qualitative and then you look at the beginning of quantitative, they give you a hint. And so when you think about qualitative, you hear that quality in the middle of it, right? And that always makes me think maybe not so much numbers, maybe not so much doing, percentages or descriptive statistics to get, answers in the end. It makes me think more of talking to somebody, maybe having an interview, doing a focus group, doing just observations and writing down your own ideas and opinions. Quantitative, you hear the quantity in there, and that does make me think of numbers. So these are going to be the things that give you a hard and fast percentage on the answers that you're asking. You will find that in a lot of polls. a lot of surveys. They're very nice because if done correctly, you know, they're very definitive answers to the questions that you're asking. Whereas with the qualitative, sometimes your own biases or other people's biases can get involved in what you are trying to find the answers to. You see it in many different ways. You guys have seen for the qualitative side, when somebody asks for your opinion about a product, right? They may ask, do you use it? Right? That's a yes or no, and that's more of a quantitative answer that you're giving. But then they may ask you, okay, if you have used it, what are the things you like? What stood out to you? Things of that nature. And then you're hitting a mix of both of those to bring that information together to get the overall picture. Most data gathering tools will be a mix. It won't be one solid form of quantitative or qualitative data that they're gathering. Usually they'll have a mix. We had on campus, they used to come and they would show us all a movie. And what they would do is they would pass out sheets to all of us, and we would fill out our age, our all those, you know, statistics that say who you are. And then while we watched the movie, they would stop and they would ask us questions about how we felt about it, what held our interest, and things like that. So when they gathered the quantitative information and the qualitative information, and then they put those two together, they could get a clearer picture about all kinds of things, like who should they market this movie to? You know, where should they begin to create edits for creating trailers? It's just a lot of information coming in that's on both of those spectrums that come together to help them produce and market this final product that they're pushing out. So that was kind of a neat way for us to get to know how they do these focus groups and how they gather that data when we were exposed to doing that at school. That was fun. So we're going to combine two things. One is visualization. And that's scary for a lot of people, right? Because you feel like you need to be a designer to do these things. And I am not a designer. I am by trade, I'm a writer, and I'm a musician. Those are my things. And I work in a department where everybody's skills are so different and so incredible. It would be easy to get intimidated by their design skills, but luckily, I'm also a curriculum creator, and because of that, I have learned to use the tools over the years. And so what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the terms qualitative and quantitative data. You're going to do your own research. I would love for you to go and look at different definitions and different examples of both of those terms. And then I want you to visualize it in an infographic. And that sounds super easy, right? And technically it is, but sometimes the easy things are a little harder to do because you keep wanting to put more and more into it, and it's a pretty simple process. And because of my lack of design, I use tools. And so Easily is one of those tools that I use. And I like it for a number of reasons, but mostly because it has preloaded templates. And the nice thing about that is that you can change anything on there and add anything that you want. And so the first way that you could do it is you can scroll down here if you want to use any of these that you see, as long as they're in the free. Don't pay for anything, just use the free ones. You can change anything that's on there and add to it. Or you can create your very own. Let's find a new one we're going to add, right? We'll open it up and you can just look at the templates, right? And you can see what they have that you might want to work with. So you can go down all of these. Would you like it to be a checklist? Would you like it to be in a social media kind of look? You can just kind of go through all of these to a comparison. That might be a very good one, yeah, for doing two different definitions. And then you can just use one of their templates and you can change what's in there. So you bring it down and then you can begin to work on it. So for this one, you might have to make it a little bit smaller. There we go. You can change anything inside of there. So you can say new graphic, right? And then you're in charge of, moving it, making it look the way you want it to look. That's why I like this one. It's fairly easy to use, fairly easy. The learning curve isn't too hard, and you can even upload your own photos to it. You don't have to use any of the objects or things that they have there. You can go out and get anything you need and just add it here. So easily is a very easy one to use. This one is also pretty good. This is Canva. And they also have an infographic design. And again, just look for the free ones. Don't try to do any of the ones that are paid for. You don't need to do that. But something as simple as like a timeline here, or any of these that you choose that you want to play with. It has all those same kind of tips and things that Easily has, are also available in Canva. And if you are feeling very, very adventurous, you could go into Illustrator or Photoshop and try your own. Or Keynote's a good one too. If you want to start from scratch, you can try it there. So for this, you're going to do a little bit of research into the terms of qualitative and quantitative. I know that the examples are here in the reading and in what you're doing, but it is nice just to kind of, take 15 minutes. Take 15 minutes and just go explore and see the different ways that they use this data, and the different ways they visualize the terminology too. You can just do a Google search of template qualitative and quantitative, just to give you an idea of how other people go about relaying this information. And here is our example. It's right here on the board, and I like this one because it's good. But I think it also shows that you don't have to be, I'm not looking for a super design. I'm looking to understand the terms, to have visuals that help me understand the terms, and, in the end, to be more knowledgeable about these things than I was before I read it. Don't forget to put your sources at the bottom. So whatever you use to help you create the information, make sure you put them there at the bottom. And that is in the rubric. And I just want to point that out because that seems to be the thing that a lot of people miss when they are doing this. They get excited that they're done and they forget to put their sources at the bottom. So that is the qualitative and quantitative. That's you visualizing information so that you can relay it to a larger audience. And it doesn't matter what program you're in, you will be doing that. All right. Reporting and research ethics. So we're in an interesting time right now where you can make information and spread it to the masses the way I'm doing it right now, right? It's no longer that you need just a studio or you need the right kind of equipment. You can do it sitting in your spare bedroom that you've made into a home office, and you can push this out, having it look just as real and just as valid as sources from other places like, CBS, Fox, other institutions that you trust that deliver news, that deliver information. And, there's nobody there except yourself that's checking the validity of this information that's going out. And that's the interesting turn that we've taken. It used to be that these institutions were so trusted, and you might not have taken it 100%, but for the most part, you trusted it. Now we have to be the detectives. We have to hear information and say to ourselves, okay, I hear what you're saying. Now where and what sources can I go to find out if this is actually valid information, if this is something that is true and really happening in the world? And that's a change. And we're in an interesting position because we speak the digital language, right? So we automatically know to do that, but most people don't. And it's astounding how many people don't. My daughter, she works at an office, and it's a home office. She's an agent. She's an agent for a company that they hire all the talent and like novelties and activities that colleges use whenever they have an event, right? Kind of a cool job. And when they hired Park, they hired her because they don't know how to speak the digital language. And it was something just as simple as hooking up 2 monitors in the office, and it blew their minds, right? And when she got a Google Calendar going and she got all the different acts and everybody on there and they could all share the information, again, they just thought, they think she's magic, right? And they pay her very well for this. And it's kind of, it makes me laugh a little bit, but the truth is a lot of people don't know how to do these things. And so they pay you to do them, right? And so that digital language that we kind of are inherently a part of, not everybody is. So we know to go look for the validity. We have a kind of an understanding of where to go look, but you have to think like the majority of people out there don't. And so, you know, that's something you have to think about ethically yourself when you're creating content and delivering it. But ethics is not, you know, black and white. It's definitely shades of gray. So that's an independent you thing, right? Each of us has our own personal set of ethics, but there are a lot of groups that have sets of ethics too, like journalism. You know, there's a set of ethics that adhere to journalism. Doctors, thank goodness, right? They have a set of ethics that they're supposed to uphold. Law, education, I can keep going. Even NASCAR has a set of ethics that all the people that are associated with that company have to follow if they're going to continue being under that branded, you know, company. So, you know, it's out there, and it's up to us to, you know, make the decisions about the content that we're creating. All right, so here's how we're going to explore it. I'm going to have you guys read this article. It's called Red Light, Green Light. If the link doesn't work, it should. Every once in a while, we know FSO, right? Every once in a while, it gets just a tiny bit cranky. And so I gave up, and I hope it's down here. Yes, I put the PDF of it down here. So just in case it decides it doesn't want to cooperate, it's down there at the bottom. So after you read that, you're going to choose one of these articles. Now, these are sensationalized articles. See, now I just told you about FSO acting up, and I doubt this link is going to work. I took it out before I pushed the class this time. I didn't forget that thing. But there it sits again. You can try it, but usually it tends not to work. So I apologize for that. I keep sending in my little tickets saying I keep taking stuff off and it keeps popping back on. Someday it'll get resolved, probably when they change the platform. It's fine, it's fine. And you're going to pick just one of these, okay? Just one of these to do your coggle on. And what a coggle is a mind map. And the reason why I'm having you do this is not to torture you, I promise. But it is a way to think that's outside of your normal making a list or just taking notes. It is a mind map, and so that means it's visual. Now this is one that I made just really quick, so it doesn't have, you know, all the bells and whistles. But usually you would put here in the middle, you would put your main topic. And then you have your branches that go off, which would probably be your questions, where you have the question and you answer them. And what's nice about this is you can move them around, you can add more, you can make it in any direction that you want to go. And I just wanted you to do this so that you could practice having a visual think, you know, a visual way to think out your thoughts. A lot of people, you know, maybe just the kinesthetic work of writing things down, that's plenty for them. Some people need to hear it, auditory. Some people need to see it. Here's the visual. So I just wanted you to explore and play with a different way to go about answering and creating questions that, you know, you may have later, or when you're creating content later or doing a project. This might be something that could help you organize your thoughts in a better way because you might be more visual. So that's why I'm having you play with that. There are specific questions that you're going to answer, as you saw in the coggle, right? Here they are all just kind of without being messed with, just there. And you will answer them, and you will have an experience getting to know and think about ethics when it comes to journalism, content creation, and the digital world that we live in, and doing the visual, which I think I've said 3 times now. I think you get the point. Thanks, Shannon. We got it. All right. So once you do that, once you've made your coggle, then you are going to create a news report. You're going to create a digital news report. And we're going to use Adobe. Spark, because it's super easy to use the Adobe Spark web page tool. And if you have the Creative Cloud, which you all should, if you log in, when you get to Adobe Spark, log in. And that way you have everything available to you. Adobe Stock, you can use their pictures, anything that's in the other programs, it's all available to you. And I guess I forgot to turn my messages off. You guys, some of you will have Isabel. She sent me a Mickey Mouse. And you're going to create a news report. Now, what's it going to be on? So you've already explored up here and had some time to kind of mull over your ideas about ethics and, how things are portrayed. But down here, you're going to be the one doing the reporting. Now, this is your opinion. So you can pick anything, but you have to back it up. So if you were going to pick, you think that, I'm trying to think of a sports person that has done something recently, but nothing is coming to my mind. That's awful. And I even watched a football game this weekend. What was there was something recently, and I can't remember the team. You guys can laugh at me. You can sit here and laugh at me now, but there was something about a football being deflated. I know, I'm hearing the laughter. And so that was all over everything for a long time, right? And so let's say that's what you've chosen and that's what interests you. And your argument is that they went full steam ahead with talking about this and pushing this out to the media and social media and all that without having, accurate proof that anything had gone down. I don't actually know the resolutions of this, but this is just our topic for now. And so if you're going to have that as your focus for your news report, you need to go find social media posts. You need to find a news report. You need to find something written. You need to include these in your news report, your digital news report, to back up what it is you're saying is unethical about how this was tackled out in the digital world. Okay? So when you do that, you'll be thinking about these questions and answering these questions. When did the story become public? Who was responsible for reporting the story? What social media platforms were used to spread this story? What major points made this story unethical? Again, that's your opinion, okay? How was it uncovered as unethical? That one always makes me think of if you remember a pretty long time ago, Brian Williams was a news anchor, and I think that he told everybody that he was involved in an altercation in Iraq, and this was something that was going around. And eventually, some group came back, I guess the people that he was with, and said, this didn't happen, right? So that's what I mean. Who's the one that said, no, right? And if we're back to the football thing, if we're talking about that, you would find the other side of that, who's going and saying, hey, wait a minute, we don't have all the information here. We can't be saying all these things quite yet. All right. And then what actions were taken in response to the faulty information? Back to Brian Williams, he got fired, right? So, again, these are the things that should be in your report, but they should be supported by what I was saying, examples of the things that we're talking about. Let's see. Let's open this link. This should be an example. All right. I should have just pulled this one up. All right. So here's an example, again, using the Adobe Spark. And you notice, here we go. Here we have them talking about it, and we have support in tweets, right? They're talking some more. See how they're answering and doing their reporting, and then they're backing it up every time with something visual, because that's how you would do a report of this nature, when you're working with digital. And then don't forget the sources at the end. Okay, see, so look, it's not huge. You're not writing a book, but, you are answering those questions. He answered all of those questions within this bit of writing, and he did all of his support. So this is definitely a 100 assignment right here. Okay, so first you have your coggle. You're going to read. You're going to pick one of these to report on. You're going to make your coggle answering these questions. Next, you're going to come here and you're going to do your reporting based on your opinion about whatever story you think is unethical, and you're going to create the Spark page. All right. Don't forget to do your citations. All right. I know that I don't think I wrote it in here. Usually I always add that right here, but I did not. But I'm holding you accountable. You guys are in a research class. You can do your citations. Also, don't forget to create your secondary research list. When you're doing your research, it should go in Evernote because that's our organizational tool and the one that we use. All right. So that will end week 3, or no, I'm sorry, I'm trying to put you in a whole nother week, week 2. As always, any questions whatsoever, don't talk to me on FSO. It's horrible. You're good, FSO. Just kidding. Just remember to text or call me 352-363-0224. I'm quick. You can ask the people that do contact me. I'll get back to you pretty quick. All right. And I hope you all have a good week. And thank you again. I'm sorry that I messed up the first pushing of the lecture. Bye, everybody.